Hi folks, I thought I'd do a bit of a video. It's really aimed at people that are new to keeping tortoises, and I just wanted to show them my tortoise setup, which I think is probably more or less pretty good. I'm not saying I'm an expert at all. I've kept tortoises since I was about 13, which is now 40 years. I primarily had rescued tortoises. I've had quite a few over the years, and currently I've just got a couple now, and I just thought that I'd go over the way I look after my tortoises, because I've had these two tortoises for 40 years now. So this is really aimed at people that are new to keeping tortoises. It's a lifelong commitment having a tortoise, and it's not a cheap hobby, and it's something that I wouldn't go into it again personally. I don't believe that it's really a good idea to keep exotic animals. I'm against it now. When I was young, you know, I kept all sorts of animals: lizards, frogs, newts, slow worms. I kept them in aquariums and tanks and vivariums and all sorts of things. And as I got older, I realised I didn't really think it was fair to these animals. You can never really replicate what they would have in the wild. They may live longer and you may protect them from predation, but I don't think they have, unless you really can have a lot of money, they don't really have an ideal life in England. It's just, they're 1,000 miles beyond their natural range, tortoises. Anyway, enough of that. I just want to show you what I've got. So I've got two tortoises in here, two Herman's tortoises. We've got Nelson down there. Now he's got a bit of pyramiding going on there. I actually hatched that tortoise out when I was 13 years old. So as you can see, he does suffer with the pyramiding. Too much protein, I believe, and a few issues. He's also only got one eye, as his name is Nelson. But other than that, he's a very healthy tortoise. I say he's approaching 40 years of age now. So yeah, he's okay, he's doing well. I've also got Terry over here. I don't know where he's stomping around in this undergrowth. Well, we might catch up with him in a minute, but look, let me show you what I've got. So firstly, we've got like a bit of a grassy paddock here. Now this is south facing, which is a really good idea. You really need the south facing. Try and make the most of our meagre sunshine. So it's lucky I'm on a bit of a slope here. I'll say it's south facing. We've even got a native Cameropsis humilis, which is the European fan palm I've planted in here. So this is mainly grass. There's a few herbs and bits and pieces growing in here. We've got a little hazel hedge there. And there's Nelson who's rummaging through some bramble. And then there's a little ramp, and they can go up into this area. This is another area. So this is the path that goes around the house. They've also got access to a herbaceous border down here, which they like going in and scrubbing around in. Then they've got complete access to the patio area. So when we're sat down, you have to watch out for tortoises wandering around. There is, I don't know where Terry's got to. It's amazing because it's the 10th of October, and it's a really amazing sunny day. I'm down in Weston-super-Mare. Of course, there's a spider as well. And it's supposed to be over 70 degrees, 75 degrees. It's incredible. So yeah, that's the kind of habitat we've got here. We've also got a sleeping box. Oh, there's Terry. Look, he's having a wander around there. There he goes. Now he's a wild caught tortoise. Sadly, over the years, probably millions of tortoises were taken from various places. First of all, we depleted the European Mediterranean shores of Greece, Italy, and the Balkans. And literally sort of stole all the tortoises out there till they almost became extinct. Then we moved to North Africa and Turkey until it was eventually banned I think they were still imported them into the early 80s. I think probably early 80s tortoises were banned. But look, we've got a little shelter here. Now my tortoises do like to go in here. In here we've got a heat mat, and we've got a lamp. It's switched off at the moment actually, because the tortoises were in the greenhouse, but I popped them out today. There's a heat mat and a lamp there. So they like to go in there when the weather's a bit miserable. That's on the heater's on all the time, and that goes on a timer. You could use a UV lamp, but I don't actually bother. because they're outside a lot of the time in the summer. So that's a box, that's about what, 3 foot by 2 foot, something like that. It's just made out of a bit of plywood really. Be careful with your electrics, that's on a waterproof socket. So if you've got electrics outdoors, make sure you're competent with electricity, you know what you're doing. Otherwise you could end up getting an electric shock, because obviously you're going to get wet when it rains. My cables go through into I've got a bit of an old cellar and I plug it in there. So yeah, that's pretty well waterproof. So they've got a nice sunny spot here. So they've got a bit of a hard area like this to walk around in. They've got the concrete pathway, they've got quite a lot of scrub here. This is just kind of herbaceous plants that you have in your garden. It's literally part of the garden that I just fenced off, so they can't go any further than there. Now the other thing about tortoises, they're a bit of they've got the wanderlust, and they always they're never content with what you give them. So it's a good idea to black out the area so they can't see it. I've used mesh here because I'm a bit of a cheapskate, but I just used wire mesh which I dug in the ground, and it's not quite so ugly because you can't see it, you see through it, and the grass will grow off. I've just put this black stuff on. This is damp proof membrane, 150 millimeters. I'm sorry about the road traffic, I live next to a noisy road, but I hope you can hear. So this is just to stop them looking out. If they can't look out, then they won't get so stressed trying to escape. There's Nelson over there. So there you go, that's an overview of the outdoor area. The key is varied habitat, bit of grass if you want, a bit of scrubby herbaceous stuff, just to give them varied habitat. They can dig around and do things. There's also like a nice little water dish there for them to go in when they get hot. So yeah, I think that covers that side of it. Now let me show you around here. I've got a greenhouse. A greenhouse is a useful thing. Ideally it'd be good to have the greenhouse linked to your tortoise outdoor enclosure, but I can't really do that because my wife says this is a bloody eyesore, so I put this round the back. Now this is a 6 foot by 4 foot aluminium greenhouse with polycarbonate sides and roof. It's a couple of £100 off eBay. In here, this is basically what I call the tortoise's sort of fattening pod. they can go in here when they come out of hibernation, and they can go in here in the autumn months before hibernation. So I hibernate my tortoises, so this is a good area. You can extend the summer months in the greenhouse. I've got a heat lamp there. This is the kind of thing that they use for rearing chicks. So it's just got a red lamp. They like getting under there. That just hangs off the little bracket. It's a bit sparse in here because I find they trash the place a bit. You could put a few plastic plants in here, but I don't know if they're that bothered. Only in here for a short time, getting a bit of water, a little water dish, and a little place for them to hide. I've had to put wood around the sides, excuse me, because again, if they can see out, they're trying to force their way out, and this polycarbonate is a bit not the strongest stuff, so it's even a European tortoise who could probably eventually barge his way out of there, keep on shoving and pushing. Tortoises are surprisingly strong animals, so, and they're quite a determined animal, very stubborn. So that is the greenhouse setup. But if you ever put one of these greenhouses up, make sure you've got a level base. You must have the base level. I used the timber base on this one, so I screwed it down and I fastened it well down with some tubes going through into the ground. So it's nice and secure, and I could secure the sides with little metal brackets. So yeah, that's the tortoise greenhouse. I think that's an essential thing if you're going to be seriously keeping tortoises. Now the other thing you need really, when they come out of hibernation, you probably could do with a vivarium. Now a vivarium is just like a place where they go. It's just like basically a box with this is actually, I made this out of it's a catering food display cabinet. It's got glass sides and I put a wooden back on it. It's got a ceramic heater on it. There is a cheaper heater, but I didn't use it. I found out I didn't get it warm enough. And it's just a lamp in there. It's got a couple of vents there, and I put some vents on the top to make sure there's a bit of air going in. There's a little hidey place for them. They absolutely hate it in here, but they go in here just before, when they come out of hibernation, I can warm them up. But they really don't like it in there, so they're not in there for too long. It's only like 3 foot or 30 inches by 24 inches. It's got a thermometer. It's got a one of these Habistat thermostats, so I can control the heat. Turn it down at night and turn it up in the day. And that's linked onto the ceramic lamp. That shuts. So that just slides shut. So yeah, that is the Vivarium. So that's the 3 components of what I think you need: a vivarium, the greenhouse, then the outside habitat. I mean, tortoise tables are fine for very small tortoises, but you cannot keep an adult tortoise on a tortoise table like a 3 foot by 2 foot. I mean, that's just outright cruel. You cannot keep it. If you cannot give a tortoise what it needs, I'm not being horrible to anyone, I don't want to start a row or anything, but you cannot keep tortoises indoors. It's cruel. They hate it. They won't thrive. They may live, but they're never going to be happy. You know, these animals are herb-scented beasts. They're marching across the Mediterranean areas. You know, herb-scented beasts. They walk probably hundreds of meters in a day. They need varied habitat. They need a good diet. I'm not discussing food of tortoises today. I mean, obviously we can do a bit of research. You can do a bit of research yourself on that. But I just wanted to talk about the actual enclosures. So I think I've talked enough now. And yeah, any commentary, I'd be pleased to hear input from other tortoise keepers. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm not trying to preach to anyone. I'm just giving you my experience of 40 years of keeping tortoises. And yeah, I just want to give out some help to anyone that's thinking of getting a tortoise and what your expectations should be of what you're letting yourself into. A tortoise will live an awful long time. I mean, like I say, that tortoise is 40 years old now. So, I mean, I'm 53. I'll have to probably put him in my will and give him to my daughter, because he's probably going to outlive me. Now, it's a long life commitment, 2 life commitment potentially with these animals. So anyway, hope that's helpful, and thank you for anyone that's watched this. Over and out. Bye.